Along the banks of the Nile, a civilization rose that would endure for more than 3,000 years. Ancient Egypt was older to the Romans than the Romans are to us. By the time Cleopatra walked the halls of Alexandria, the Great Pyramid of Giza was already an ancient monument, weathered by 25 centuries of sun and wind. This was a land of paradox. Its people built in stone meant to outlast eternity, yet they lived close to a river that flooded and receded with the patient rhythm of the seasons. They worshipped a sky full of gods, mapped the stars, and yet they were farmers, scribes, and brickmakers going about ordinary days. In the chapters ahead, we will move from the green ribbon of the Nile to the silence of the royal tombs, from the workshops of the pyramid builders to the hidden meanings behind their writing. This is a journey into a world both strange and deeply human. Settle in, breathe slowly, and let the desert reveal what it has kept for so long. Egypt was, in the words of the Greek historian Herodotus, the gift of the Nile. Without this river, the land would be only desert, part of the vast Sahara that surrounds it on every side. Each summer, rains far to the south in the Ethiopian highlands swelled the river until it overflowed its banks. The flood spread across the valley and left behind a layer of dark, rich silt. Egyptians called their country Kemet, the Black Land, after this fertile mud, and they called the surrounding desert Dishret, the Red Land. Farmers planted wheat and barley in the soft soil and harvested enough to feed cities and to store against lean years. The river was also the highway of Egypt. Boats carried grain, stone, cattle, and people up and down its length, binding distant towns into a single kingdom. The Egyptians read the river like a calendar, dividing their year into the seasons of flood, growth, and harvest. To live beside the Nile was to live by its moods, and they built an entire civilization upon trusting its return. The pyramids at Giza remain among the most studied structures on Earth, and they still guard their secrets well. The Great Pyramid, built for the pharaoh Khufu around 4,500 years ago, rises from more than 2 million blocks of limestone, some weighing many tons. For thousands of years, it was the tallest building in the world. The old idea that it was raised by enslaved masses has given way to better evidence. Archaeologists have uncovered workers' villages nearby, with bakeries, breweries, and the bones of cattle and fish that fed a skilled labor force. These were paid laborers and craftsmen, organized into teams with proud names, who quarried, hauled, and fitted the stone with astonishing precision. The base of the Great Pyramid is level to within a few centimeters, and its sides are aligned almost exactly to the cardinal directions. How they moved and placed the blocks is still debated, with ramps of various designs the leading explanation. What is certain is that this was a national project, a feat of planning and devotion that united a whole kingdom in stone. At the summit of Egyptian society stood the pharaoh, a ruler regarded as a living link between the people and the gods. The pharaoh was thought to embody Horus, the falcon god, and at death to become Osiris, Lord of the afterlife. This was not merely a king, but a sacred guarantor of order, charged with keeping Ma'at, the principle of truth, balance, and cosmic harmony. The list of rulers stretches across 30 dynasties and many famous names. There was Hatshepsut, one of the few women to rule as pharaoh, who sent trading expeditions to distant lands and raised great monuments at Deir el-Bahri. There was Akhenaten, who tried to turn Egypt toward the worship of a single sun disk and shook the foundations of tradition. There was Ramesses II, who reigned for 66 years and covered the land with statues of himself. Power passed through royal families, often within the same bloodline, and the pharaoh's word shaped religion, war, and the very flow of the economy. To the Egyptians, a strong pharaoh meant a world held safely in place. The Egyptians lived among a vast family of gods, more than 1,000 named deities woven into every part of life. Ra, the sun god, sailed across the sky each day in his solar boat and battled the serpent of chaos each night before rising again at dawn. Isis was the great mother and healer whose devotion to her husband Osiris became one of the most beloved stories of the ancient world. Anubis, with the head of a jackal, watched over the dead and the rituals of embalming. Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom, was said to have given humans the gift of writing. These gods were not distant. They were honored in vast stone temples like Karnak and Luxor, where priests performed daily rites, washing and clothing sacred statues as if tending living beings. Ordinary people kept small shrines at home and wore amulets for protection. The Egyptians saw no sharp line between the divine and the everyday. The rising of the sun, the flooding of the river, the birth of a child, all of it was the work of gods who could be honored, thanked, and asked for help. Few beliefs define ancient Egypt more than its vision of life after death. The Egyptians did not see death as an ending but as a journey to another existence, one that required the body to be preserved. Over many centuries, they perfected mummification. Embalmers removed the internal organs, placing them in special jars, and dried the body with natron, a natural salt, for 40 days. The body was then wrapped in many layers of linen, often with protective amulets tucked between the folds. The dead were buried with food, furniture, tools, and treasured belongings, everything a person might need in the next world. Guiding them was the Book of the Dead, a collection of spells to protect the soul on its dangerous path. The Egyptians believed the heart would be weighed against a single feather, the feather of truth. A heart light with good deeds let the soul pass on to a peaceful field of reeds. A heart heavy with wrongdoing would be devoured. In this way, their care for the dead was also a quiet teaching about how to live. For more than 3,000 years, Egyptians wrote in hieroglyphs, a beautiful script of birds, eyes, water ripples, and reed shelters. These were not simple pictures. Each sign could stand for a sound, an idea, or a category of meaning, and skilled scribes combined them into a rich and flexible language. Writing was carved into temple walls, painted in tombs, and brushed swiftly onto papyrus, the paper made from a reed that grew along the Nile. For centuries after Egypt fell, no one could read these signs, and they seemed a locked door to a lost world. Then in 1799, soldiers in Egypt found a slab of dark stone near the town of Rosetta. The Rosetta Stone carried the same decree in 3 scripts, including Greek, that scholars could still read. By comparing them, the French scholar Jean-François Champollion finally cracked the code in the 1820s. Suddenly, the voices of ancient Egypt could speak again. Their poetry, their laws, their letters, and their prayers came back into the light, written by people who hoped never to be forgotten. Behind the temples and tombs lived ordinary people whose days were full and familiar. Most Egyptians were farmers, rising with the sun to work fields of wheat, barley, flax, and vegetables, tending cattle, donkeys, and geese. In the towns, potters shaped clay, weavers worked linen, carpenters and metalworkers practiced their trades, and merchants bartered goods in busy markets, for Egypt had no coins for much of its history. Bread and beer were the foundation of every meal, made from the same grain and shared by rich and poor alike. Families lived in homes of sun-dried mud brick, cool against the heat, often with flat roofs where people slept on warm nights. Children played with carved animals, balls, and board games like Senet. Both men and women wore eye paint, partly for beauty and partly to shield against the glare. Women in Egypt held rights unusual for the ancient world. They could own property, run businesses, and bring cases to court. Across the centuries, life along the river kept its gentle rhythm. Ordinary days lived in the shadow of eternity. For most of modern history, the royal tombs of the Valley of the Kings were found empty, their treasures stripped away by ancient robbers. Then in 1922, the British archaeologist Howard Carter, after years of patient searching, uncovered a hidden stairway in the rock. It led to the nearly intact tomb of a young pharaoh named Tutankhamun, who had died around the age of 18, more than 3,000 years before. When Carter made a small breach in the sealed doorway and held up a candle, his sponsor asked if he could see anything. Carter replied, "Yes, wonderful things." The chambers were crowded with gold, furniture, chariots, statues, and jewelry. Over the boy king's mummified body lay a mask of solid gold, serene and luminous, now one of the most famous objects on Earth. Tutankhamun had been a minor ruler, half forgotten by history, yet his untouched tomb gave the world its richest glimpse of a pharaoh's burial. It reminded everyone that beneath the desert sands, Egypt still held wonders waiting to be found. No civilization lasts forever, and Egypt's long story slowly drew toward its close. After the height of the New Kingdom, the land grew weaker and was ruled at times by foreign dynasties, from Libyans and Nubians to Persians. In 332 before the Common Era, Alexander the Great arrived and was welcomed almost as a liberator. After his death, his general Ptolemy founded a Greek-speaking dynasty that ruled from the dazzling city of Alexandria, with its famous library and towering lighthouse. The last of this line was Cleopatra VII, brilliant and politically gifted, who tied Egypt's fate to the power struggles of Rome. With her death in 30 before the Common Era, Egypt became a province of the Roman Empire, and the age of the pharaohs ended. Yet the old gods and the old writing lingered for centuries more in quiet corners. Egypt did not so much vanish as fold itself into the wider river of history, leaving its monuments standing in the sand as silent witnesses to all that had passed. Why does ancient Egypt still hold us so completely, so many centuries after its fall? Perhaps because it speaks to our deepest hopes and fears. Here was a people who looked at the certainty of death and answered it with art, with care, and with a profound belief that life was worth carrying forward. They built monuments to last forever, and against all odds, many of them still stand. Their faces gaze out from painted tombs and golden masks, calm and patient, as if they always knew we would come looking. Every year, new discoveries emerge from the sand, hidden chambers, lost tombs, and texts not read in thousands of years. The story is far from finished. As you sit with these images and these voices from so long ago, remember that the same stars they navigated by still turn above us tonight. If this journey gave you a moment of calm and wonder, take a second to like this video, leave a comment with the discovery that amazed you most, and subscribe so we can wander through the past together again. Thank you for watching. This was News, Cues, and Views.